done. I mean, they're gonna make moves. But if you just look at free agent, and remember, free agency, it wasn't considered a great year in free agency. So I'm looking at the top guys, but Hendrickson is obviously, been a difference making all pro, but he's coming off a season where he barely played. So it's tough to gauge where that market is. Hassan Reddick is not obviously going to come back. Joey Bosa, not going to come here. Cameron Jordan's 36. I think it could help you for a year if you want to go down that route. Still a good player, amazingly at his age. And then the young guys left, younger guys are AJ Epinesa, Flavion Chasen from the Patriots. He's got some buzz because he's he was a first round pick, but not a big fan. So not much left from a use standpoint on the edge rushing market. So I think you might have to go trade there.
What do you think Grenard would cost? Because I think he'd be if they got Grenard, I think everybody would have a reason for excitement. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, I think minimum 25. That's what he's looking. That's the only reason he's.
But what's it? Did they have to trade for him? Right? They'd have to. Yeah. So what?
Yeah, day two pick. I'm sure Howie will try to talk him into a 3. It's a bad organization. Maybe you can. I wouldn't give him up for anything less than a 2. And quite frankly, if I'm the Eagles, I trade a 2 for him in a hot minute. Really good player. And then, safety, again, if you're looking at the free agent market, well, you got Kevin Byard. He's not coming back. Kyle Duggar's older. And then some of the younger guys are Geno Stone and Jaquan Brisker. Andre Cisco, maybe. And I may have missed the signing in there because they were coming hot and heavy, but those are the guys I have. I mean, are they better than Reed Blankenship? I don't like going away from Reed. That's the one I have a problem with. I don't have a problem. I'm walking away from $30 million. I get the walk away.
Yeah,
I'm walking away. The Kobe Dean, for all the talk, look, he's not the starter. I get everybody thinks he's the starter. In their mind, he's not the starter. You're not paying a third linebacker that money. That makes complete sense. Reed, I mean, and again, they have a plan. I don't know what their plan is, but he was a damn steady player for them. But he was undrafted. So we'll have Pumper in here saying, oh, he can't play, even though you saw him play for 3 years. How many safeties in this league have played in 2 Super Bowls and won one of them? That's got to be a short list.
Yeah. Is that like the no, I'm not even gonna go there. All right. We'll see, John. I don't know. Look, I hear you on the money, and
to the point, I know where you're going.
I'm not selling yet, but John, I'm just I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like this team is looking to compete for a Super Bowl, and they're just chalking it up to, well, we got to pay everybody. I've been hearing that for 2 years now with major departures on this football team, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And the defense is the only guys who've been carrying their weight every year, so
they're not. I'm looking at the date. They're not playing March 11th.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Look, I mean, yeah, I get it. The immediacy of it, believe me, I get it. But if they lost down the road, they were saying, well, we can't pay Quinyon Mitchell because we paid Josh Sweat 2 years ago, and now we got to pay. I mean, people would be incensed. It's hard to be disciplined. But individually, I can't argue with any of the players they lost.
Yeah, but the thing I don't like,
with the exception of, ironically, of Reed Blankenship, and the only reason I brought up the Super Bowl thing is, by definition, I'm not saying he's the reason they're in the Super. By definition, he's good enough to win a Super Bowl with.
Right.
By definition,
good enough. Right. I get you.
So don't give me this bullshit that he can't play because he was undrafted. You know, by definition, he was good enough to be the weakest link on a Super Bowl team, and that's what you think he is. 2. So, yeah, I don't buy that. The other ones I get, there's logic to them. But, you know, we'll see. Yeah, they obviously, but the second part and the more important part is you have to fill these holes. If he doesn't fill these holes, I'll be the first one ripping him to shreds.
Yeah. And the one thing, and John, you can tell me if you think I'm off base on this. The one thing that bothers me about, the everything is about future contracts is that Howie's been so good with these contracts. That's one of the reasons we've been able to sign talent. So you're telling me you can't sign, let's just use Reed, for example. Reed at 8 because we have future deals, but we all know the future deals that are going to come are going to be, contracts that are beneficial to the Eagles. Most of them won't kick in a huge cap number until 2 or 3 years into the contract. And most of the contracts Howie signs, you can get out of after 1 or 2 years. So it's like, do I really have to act like every contract can't be signed because of future deals? I mean, they just paid Jordan Davis massive money. When's the first big cap hit coming?
Well, I still haven't seen the deal, so we'll see. But certainly, the Eagles' history, and there'll be voidable years on the end. But again, if you're going to go down that route and say, well, Howie can just keep doing this forever,
I'm not going there.
You're going down the route of the extremes. I talk about there's 2 extremes with the salary cap. There's the people who it doesn't matter, it's not real, and they're not correct. And there's 2 that think it's not malleable, and it's very malleable. In the Eagles, and this was last year when he was explaining it, he knew he was in for this, believe me. They had spent the most cash because that was the Eagles' philosophy, cash over cap. They had spent the most real cash over a decade in the NFL. And he said, they had to stop for a while. They got to repopulate the coppers, so to speak.
Right.
And he admitted it. And I said at the time, part of that is the human nature of winning Super Bowls. I don't think they would act like this if they didn't win another one, to be frank. Their urgency picks up when they don't win. And I think it's human nature. And I've mentioned that you breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, we got another one. And you breathe a sigh of relief. And they say, well, we can do that now because of this. So I think there's some of that. I think that's real. But they've been paying so much money, and you've seen it now with the talk about AJ and the trade there, and the talk of they've spent and they've done this for so long, and they've been right most of the time with the evaluation of these players, that it hasn't hurt them as much as, say, the Saints, who've been doing the same thing and get ridiculed for it because they fuck up with the evaluation of players. The Eagles haven't really fucked up with the evaluation of players. If they start fucking up with the evaluation of players, then you're going to see what people are talking about now. Then you're going to see some real shit hit the fan. But they haven't done that. They keep drafting well. And again, nobody in Philadelphia, I can say this concretely, gives one shit what Trent McDuffie is making, except Howie Roseman, who sees it and knows what's coming. And I get it.
Yeah.
But he's got 2 corners. And it's coming after next season. Not like way down the road like it was last year with 2 seasons with those guys.
Yeah, Cooper's going to be sooner, but because Quinion, I think they're going to work in that 5th-year option. They're not going to pick it up, but I think they'll work it into the new deal, which will give them some.
Yeah,
some
that's been their history. But And, again, you're talking about now all of a sudden, I've been talking about not this year, but down the road after this season, potentially trading Nolan Smith. Well, that's off the table. You didn't get Jaelan Phillips back. So, if Nolan Smith comes back and has a big year, which is a big if, but he's a good player, it's possible. What's he going to get paid when you see guys like Mafe and Dofi get the money they're getting? And then I'm super high on Alex Hunt, maybe too high, but the way he's improving, again, at that position, can you imagine Alex Hunt with his physical gifts if he pops through and gets 10+ sacks next season?
Man, yeah, he's going to get a bag of cash, hopefully in Philly.
So, I mean, it's real. But, the alternative is to draft shitty and not be worried about it. And then you can go spend like the Raiders.
There you go. Fair enough, Johnny Mac. All right, John, then we'll wrap up this segment number 1 here. We'll get to some